Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again with yet another deck tech. I'm recording this just before the changeover comes through for MTGO when we all move. Got to delete it all, put in the new version of MTGO, and hopefully it'll still work. So I decided to try and get some more videos done, so in case things do go pear-shaped, there's still stuff coming up on the YouTube channel this week. Speaking of which, thank you for the people who subscribed so far. If you're watching the video, really hope you can hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It really does help me out. I've only got 73 of you on here, but I'd like to see it keep going up. So if you can help me out and do that, I'd appreciate it. But today's deck tech is something. It's going back to old school cards. I'll be honest. It's not a new commander. It's one that's been around for a while. It's one that I've wanted to build, and I've managed to pick one up now on a little bit of cheapness and a little bit of heavy trading with some of the stuff I wasn't playing in my account. So there's a few cards I've got rid of and a few cards I've picked up, and this is one of the cards I've picked up. So without me talking too much longer, here we go. Welcome to the deck tech for Brudiclad Telchor Engineer. 4 blue and red. Legendary artifact creature, Phyrexian Artificer. I thought we'd do something Phyrexian because obviously we've got Brothers War coming up and the Phyrexians are going to be back in big form. So this one is a 4/4 and it says creature tokens you control have haste. Yeah, okay, that's fine. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 blue Phyrexian Mere artifact creature token. Okay, cope with that, that's nice. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token. So, yeah, okay. So, at the minimum, we're going to get a 2/1. That's great. That's going to copy itself and be a 2/1. But there's got to be some way of making tokens in red and blue. And I think you probably can work out where I'm going with this deck right now. But if you can't, let's just say I think I found a way to make tokens and then turn them into things that are bigger than 2/1s. But I need to generate a lot of tokens. So this deck's a bit of a mishmash between token generation and getting some big creatures into play that hopefully we'll get some bigger creatures with. So here's the deck list itself. Start with the lands as usual, just so you can get over it. We're just going through the usual selection of blue-red dual lands. I have put in Fabled Passage and Field of the Dead because I do want to be able to generate tokens. Fabled Passage just so I can go get some land out, just thin the deck a little bit. But the Field of the Dead is quite useful because it does produce the zombies as we get the 7 different lands in play, and it means we've always got something we can use and get something better with a bit of luck. And obviously the zombies will have haste, so they help with the beatdown a little bit. 10 islands, 10 mountains, Is It Boilerworks, Molten Tributary, Path of Ancestry, Temple of the False God, Reliquary Tower, all the other red blue dual lands I could find in my deck. If you've got any more that I haven't put in, feel free to take some of the islands and the plains out and put them in instead. Ramp for this deck is, I went a bit heavy on it, I'm going to be honest. It's probably a little bit more than you used to see me playing, but at the end of the day, Brudiclad is a 6 casting cost commander that we want to get into play as soon as possible, so I do need to hit the ramp. Now, I haven't got green, so I can't go and get the land, so I've had to go down the artifact route. So, Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Fire Diamond, Sky Diamond, Coalition Relic are my main sources of my mana. Okay, I'm not playing. There's no real point in playing the instant spells in red that produce red mana. I know they're good. They do give you extra mana. Completely agree with it. In some decks, they're going to be fantastic. But this one, you need to be able to get them out, and you're going to need to recast this. As soon as this dies, once you're paying 8, then you're paying 10, then you're paying 12, which isn't great by anyone's imagination whatsoever. But that's the ramp and that's the lads. What I really want to talk about is how we're going to produce tokens. Now, the obvious thing, which I'm hoping you've all thought about as I've been saying this, is treasure tokens. They are some of the most common types of tokens we see now in Magic in general, and red is really good at producing them. So, to that end, I've chucked in Impulsive Pilferer because when it dies, it gives us a treasure token, and then we can encore it. All the copies can die. We'll get a few more treasure tokens. We've put in, obviously, Dockside Extortionist is in. We all like a bit of Dockside Extortionist, so, and it produces lots of treasures, so, yeah, they help. To help with this as well, we've got Plundering Barbarian, we've got Professional Facebreaker. Obviously, Plundering Barbarian creates a treasure when it comes in play, but it has the upside of taking out an annoying artifact that may be upsetting the game. And Professional Facebreaker, when a creature you control deals combat damage to a different player, create a treasure token. So you can get a few points of damage, you can get some extra treasures, which is nice. Reaver Cleaver's in. because when it equips one of the creatures, it gives that creature trample, and B, when it deals combat damage to a player, you do get those treasure tokens, so that's really helpful. I've chucked in Zorn, because if we're going to create treasure tokens, let's create more of them with Zorn. Likewise, a little bit further down here, you can see Academy Manufacturer. That's in here as well, exactly the same thing. If we create a treasure token, we get a clue and a food token. Yeah, clue tokens will help us draw a bit. Food tokens, meh. But if we can get Brudiclad out, we can turn them into nice little Phyrexians as we're attacking. So it seemed like a reasonable plan to me. We've got a few other bits and pieces that produce tokens. Right of Replication, I went and picked one up specifically for this deck, so that's in here. Thopter Spy Network produces some tokens for us, which is nice. Big score for a bit of card draw, some more treasure. We've got Galzeth Prismari in here, because obviously that comes into play, produces a token. And that also gives another way of tapping our artifacts for 1 mana, which we can only spend as sorcery, but it does help a little bit with some of the spells we've got going on. Storm the Vault I've put in. Obviously our creatures dealing damage is a good idea, and they give us treasure tokens, which means we get more creatures, so I was quite happy with that plan. Replication Specialist. Whenever a non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 and pay 1 and a blue, and you create a token of it. So that's quite nice with some of the other stuff. You get this into play, and then you get some more of your mana stuff coming through, or Elixir of Immortality, or Coalition Relic, or some of the other things I'm going to be talking about. You know, can't use it with Helm of the Host though. Bear that in mind. Don't copy your Helm of the Host. I've seen it happen before. It doesn't work out well. You know, it might help out a little bit, but that's why it's here. Now, that's kind of the summary, and obviously up the top end, I've got Ancient Copper Dragon as well, because I figure we might have lots of treasure tokens, and I like playing the new dragons, so hey, it's here. Now, I'm also looking away, because look, great, it's all well and good having all these treasures into play, which when we get Brudiclad into play, turn into 2/1s. They aren't going to be great. You aren't going to win the game with a load of 2/1s. So I needed some way of making some bigger creatures, or bigger targets that we can turn them into. What I will point out is if you are short of mana, you can turn all your tokens into treasure, if you've got a treasure floating around, because you just copy that, including the mirror you just created. So, hey, why not? But I want some things. So I've got some big creatures in here, as you can see. We've got Ancient Silver Dragon. We've obviously got Ancient Copper Dragon. I've got Agent of Treachery. I've got Ether-Tide Whale, which is pretty good, I have to say. Frost Titans in here. Guiles in here. They're kind of probably going to be our win conditions going forward. But they're just creatures. They don't produce tokens. So I needed some way of making copies of these tokens. So obviously I've already mentioned Right Replication. That's great. We've also got some other bits and pieces that do the same thing. Cackling Counterparts in, especially nice with the flashback. We've got Quasi-Duplication in. Oh no, Quasi-Duplicate is in as well. Jumpstart it, you can play the cards from your graveyard but discard a card in addition to paying its other costs. Then you exile it, so you get a couple of uses out of this as well. We have also got Stolen Identity, which is really nice. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact creature. Then you may exile this spell and encode it on a creature. So basically it enchants a creature. It's not an aura, but it does enchant it. And when you deal combat damage to a player, you get to make another token. Sounds like a really good plan to me. Also chucked in Mirror March. Mirror March is one of those cards that turns up occasionally. Yes, it's usually seen in decks that have a lower costing value. But if you can get Mirror March into play and cast one of your non-legendary creatures, and there's a couple of other things in here, they come in as topic copies. And that's nice because then you go to your attack step and you get to turn all of your little other tokens maybe into sort of multiple copies of Guile, multiple copies of Ancient Silver Dragon or Copper Dragon or Agent of Treachery. Now what I will say is I don't think when you copy Agent of Treachery it doesn't class as coming to play off Brudiclad, so bear that in mind. But if you copy it with something like Cackling Counterpart or Right of Replication, then yes it does, and you'll nick all your opponent's stuff, so bear that in mind when you're playing this deck. The other thing that helps us copy stuff, Saheeli's Artistry. Now we have got artifacts in this deck, we have got other things in this deck. You know, Saheeli's Artistry copying something like, I don't know, Academy Manufacturer and then copying Ether-Tide Whale maybe. It's not the worst plan in the world. And just you want the copies. Basically, you want stuff you can make copies of so your tokens get better. And that's what I'm really, as you could probably see, trying to do with this deck. We've got a couple other things that do that as well. Down the cheap end, we've got Dragon Master Outcast. 6 lands in play, beginning your upkeep, you get a dragon. Nothing wrong with getting dragons and making your little tokens into dragons. I've got Ominous Seas in here because we will draw some cards. We will probably get to 8 at some stage. And then we can turn all our... then we'll have Kraken tokens. Get to turn all our treasures into 8/8 Krakens. Not the worst plan in the world, I'm sure you'll agree. Beyond that, I've chucked in a few other little bits and pieces. So just so I've got some early stuff, we've got Dragon Fodder. I've got Loyal Apprentice in because that does produce this little 1/1 flyers, and it might be you need flyers to get through. If someone plays Moat maybe, and the only way you can win is by attacking with flyers. Turn all your little treasures into 1/1 flyers with 1/1 flyers with haste. Why not? Go for it. Young Pyromancers in. We've got a few instants and sorceries. Get some 1/1 elementals. Again, they're just early blockers in this deck. Beyond that, there's a few little things I do want to point out. I've got I think I've got 3 versions of Saheeli in here. So non-token spells gives us a servo. We've got Saheeli Ra, the original one, so a bit of scry and a bit of damage, and it gives us an ability to copy a creature for -2ing. So this in play. Copy Frost Titan. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Turn our tokens into them. Off we go. And the other version of Saheeli I've put in as the Gifted. This one's quite a new one on me. I didn't realise it was available on MTGO until I was looking around. But having the ability, protects itself by having a little 1/1 servo. You can +1 it to the next spell you cast this turn. Costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. Got lots of treasure tokens, +1ing this in play, and then doing something like Rite of Replication, or something massive like Clone Legion at the top end here, is pretty good from my point of view. And also, for each artifact you control, when you get to -7, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste, exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. It gives you another way of getting a load of tokens if you need it. So I was quite happy with this idea. Helm of the Host, sorry, not Lithothor mentioned. Helm of the Host I've already mentioned. It's alright, it's fine, it's just expensive to do. 4 mana to cast it, 5 to equip it. It's not a cheap one of doing it, but if you can equip it on something and do all those extra nice little things you can do with it, it's not bad. Equipping this to something like Riona the Fire Dancer to give you all those extra copies is quite nice. Just notice, even if you haven't played an instant or sorcery, you still get 1 copy of a creature, so it's not the worst plan in the world just to copy that. Also, there was something else I want to mention. Sphinx's Foresight, there it is. This is just here so we can make sure the top of our deck, if it's in our starting hand, is set up, and then we get to scry every turn. I was thinking about playing Consecrated Sphinx in this deck, I'll be honest. I decided against it. I've played Consecrated Sphinx a lot in my blue decks recently, so I've given it a break. Having a little bit of a rest in the side in the main thing. The last few things I want to go through, we have got some ways of controlling the board, so I've got Chain Reaction in. I've got Atazusi, the Blazing Sky, because it's quite nice. Even when it dies, it gives us some treasure tokens, which we can turn into little 2/1s if we need to. Maniform Hellkite's in because we do have a few spells and instants in the deck. We haven't got that many, I'm aware of that, but it's a 4/4 dragon. It's not the worst thing in the world to copy if we need to. Brass's Bounty's in, just so we can get all those extra treasure tokens once we've got some decent mana in play. Blasphemous Act to blow the board up if we need to. Clone Legion I mentioned because it gives us the ability to make loads and loads of copies of things. And the other big spell that's down the end here, Crackle with Power. I kind of figured if we had a whole load of tokens in play and we turned them into treasure, we might just be able to win the game by casting this at some stage. One other thing, I've made a conscious decision, just for once for me, to start playing Vandal Blast in my new deck that's got red in. There's a lot more of artifacts kicking around at the moment. Having the ability to overload this for 5 mana and blow everyone else's artifacts up while keeping our ones seemed like a good idea to me going forward. One other thing to point out is Sarkhan's in here. There's a few dragons, so yes, we can use the mana to cast some of the dragons we have in play, but it's really in here hopefully so we can get up to the -7 and get all those nice 5/5, those 4/5/5 dragon tokens into play, which is what I'd really like to be able to do. So there you go. That's my really short deck tech for Brudiclad. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I said before, if you can hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. The deck will be played on stream at some stage this week, so there's a link below to my Twitch stream. Come and give me a follow there. We're sitting at 122 followers at the moment, so that's quite nice. I'd still like to hit that magic 150 at some stage, but I'll keep going. it's not going to stop me streaming, so feel free to come and join us. I stream on a Tuesday night, a Thursday night, and a Sunday afternoon. Come and follow my Twitter account, Rekmar Gaming. You can find me on there. I let you know when I'm going live on that Twitter account. I'll try and put a link down below if I remember this time. I haven't done it for a while, so I'll put it in the notes below. But thanks for watching. Hope I'll see you soon, and hopefully you'll have some fun if you decide to build this on MTGO. Take care. See you soon. Bye.